Yikes, you be like, hey yo, what's the price? Yikes, when it come to me, I do nothing twice. Yikes, 223, got you taking.
She wasn't an evil person or nasty person. She was real sweet.
It's scary, like, cause you don't know who watching who, where you at, who you know, and whatnot. It's just crazy.
I miss my baby. I miss my grandkids. She was a good person.
Move from over here. We finna move the hell from over here, y'all. It's not safe.
She didn't deserve this. She did not deserve this.
On March 3rd, 2024, a family reported 22-year-old Markayla Johnson and her 2 children, 4-year-old Miracle Johnson and 7-month-old Messiah Johnson, missing. They were last seen near Orchard Trace Lane in Charlotte, North Carolina. 2 days later, her family would go to the apartment where Markayla had been staying, but nobody answered the door. On March 6th, a maintenance worker went into the apartment but didn't see Markayla or the kids. It wouldn't be until March 8th when Charlotte Mecklenburg police put out a notice about the missing mother and her kids.
CMPD needs your help finding a missing woman and her 2 children. Take a good look at your screen. This is 22-year-old Markayla Johnson, along with 4-year-old Miracle and 7-month-old Messiah. Police say family members haven't heard from them and are concerned about their safety. They were last seen on Orchard Trace Lane in Northeast Charlotte.
Most of the people that we did talk to today who live in this complex tell me they don't know Markayla Johnson, but police say she was last seen right here near the Orchard Trace condominiums.
On the same street where CMPD says Markayla Johnson and her 2 kids were last seen, a missing person poster now hangs. The poster shows 22-year-old Markayla, 4-year-old Miracle, and 7-month-old Messiah, with a request to immediately call 911 if you've seen them. Right behind that sign, a parked car with a card in the window for a CMPD missing persons detective. On March 8th, police requested the public's assistance finding the family of 3. They say Johnson had not contacted any family and they were concerned.
CMPD says it's not releasing any more information at this point, but they do believe the family is safe at this time or not in any danger. Of course, if you have any information, contact police.
On Friday, March 15th, human remains were discovered at the location where Markayla and her kids were reported missing. The remains were found at the apartment complex around 1:45 p.m. as officers were conducting a search warrant. The remains were later confirmed to be those of 22-year-old Markayla and her 2 young kids.
And we have breaking news tonight. Human remains have been found inside the apartment belonging to the boyfriend of a missing Charlotte mother and her 2 kids.
Those human remains were found here in the apartment complex off of Orchard Trace Lane, just outside of University City. I'm actually going to go ahead and step out of the way so you can take a look. Still an active crime scene here. We've got CSI out here on the scene, still taking a look inside that apartment. Human remains were found inside this apartment in the 400 block of Orchard Trace Lane, the same home WCCB told you about on Monday, where a missing Charlotte mother and her 2 children were last seen. Neighbors are rattled.
We finna move from over here. We finna move the hell from over here, y'all. It's not safe.
According to police, officers were at the apartment on Friday investigating the disappearance of the 3 when they found the remains. They had to request more search warrants before they could start the full investigation with CMPD's homicide unit and crime scene investigators. Police say 22-year-old Markayla Johnson and her 2 children, 4-year-old Miracle and 7-month-old Messiah, were last seen on March 3rd at this apartment. No one has seen or heard from those 3 or Johnson's boyfriend since then. Police so far have not identified the boyfriend.
It's not really clear why it took police 2 weeks to search the apartment. However, Chief Jennings told reporters officers were able to enter the apartment after it was discovered that there was a potential that some sort of crime occurred, and they were able to get a search warrant and develop probable cause.
We have some grave news to report and some information to talk about in reference to a missing persons report.
She wasn't an evil person or nasty person. She was real sweet.
Tough one to start with here, folks. Now at 11, the tragic end to the search for a missing Charlotte mother and her 2 young children, as police confirm their remains have been found.
Markayla Johnson was in a relationship with a man around the time of her disappearance, and that man is now considered a person of interest in this investigation, but police are not calling him a suspect at this time. Now, meanwhile, we heard from Johnson's family today, still grieving and asking anyone for any answers in this unthinkable tragedy.
She didn't deserve this. She did not deserve this.
As CMPD Police Chief Johnny Jennings spoke to the media Saturday afternoon, the family of Markayla, Miracle, and Messiah Johnson stood right behind him, full of emotion.
Miss my baby. I miss my grandkids. She was a good person.
And pleading with the community for help finding the person responsible for these 3 deaths.
Please, any small, big it is, help the police. Help, please. Help my family.
Johnson's family reported her missing on March 3rd, and police say they exhausted every lead as a missing persons investigation before finally issuing a search warrant for Johnson's apartment 12 days later on March 15th. It is during that search warrant that police say they found the bodies of all 3 missing people. Johnson's family says that she struggled with mental issues and they believe she was taken advantage of.
She was such a loving person. Everybody knew that knew her. People took advantage of her.
Now the missing persons investigation for Johnson and her children turns into a homicide investigation and a search for the... Now, we were told by the family that the man police are looking for who was in the relationship with Markayla is not the father of either of the 2 children who were at this time because he is still a person of interest. Police are not releasing his name.
On Saturday, March 16th, 35-year-old Benjamin Taylor was located, arrested, and booked around 10:19 p.m. in Imperial County, California, close to the Mexican border. He's charged with 3 counts of and 1 count of concealment of death in connection to the deaths of Markayla and her 2 kids. He's currently awaiting extradition back to North Carolina.
Police have arrested Johnson's boyfriend, 34-year-old Benjamin Taylor, and charged him with 3 counts of...
Markayla first came to Charlotte fall of last year to be with a new man she met online. An unknown person came in early November to bring her and both children back to Myrtle Beach. The Johnsons then left Myrtle Beach again in late January to return to the same apartment.
These new details are coming from a search warrant filed by a CMPD detective and used to search Johnson's apartment Friday afternoon. We know Johnson and her kids were reported missing on Sunday, March 3rd. That same day, the warrant says, records show her phone was turned off in the area of her apartment and never turned back on. The warrant says the family went to the apartment on March 5th to try to speak with Johnson, but didn't get an answer, and someone working for the apartment complex went inside her unit on March 6th and didn't find anyone inside. Now, specifically, the warrant details with the staff member didn't find any food, clothes, or toys appropriate to take care of the children. And also says Johnson's car in the parking lot at the apartment complex didn't have car seats or other safety equipment inside. That's why police got a warrant. Telling a magistrate judge it appeared the children had been living without the appropriate care. Now, one other interesting note, the warrant that allowed police investigators to get inside Johnson's apartment is for child endangerment, not because they were investigating. The evidence outlined is about the children, so it's not clear that police were able to find any evidence that Johnson and her children were dead until they got physically inside of her apartment.
Police said Benjamin and Markayla were in a relationship, and a motive remains under investigation. Investigators don't know if domestic violence led to the homicides, and their manner of death has not been disclosed. According to the North Carolina Department of Adult Correction, Benjamin's criminal record dates back to 2007, when he was convicted of felony breaking and entering. In 2011, he was convicted of assault on an officer, and again with another assault in 2016. In 2018, he was convicted of possession of a firearm by a felon, plus some drug convictions.
Newly released search warrants say Markayla left Myrtle Beach this past fall to come to Charlotte. and live with a man she met online. Court documents reveal that back in November, Markayla's family came to Charlotte from Myrtle Beach to take her and the kids back with them. They suspected Markayla was high on drugs and caring for the children when they picked her up. The search warrants also say in January, Markayla returned to Charlotte with the kids, and the family hadn't spoken with her since around January 20th, other than text messages that seemed out of the ordinary for how Markayla would typically communicate.
I mean, a lot of questions with this story.
It's very fascinating.
Yes, very fascinating. We've been asking, though, CMPD some questions in particular. Why did it take 2 weeks to be able to get the search warrant?
Yeah, that's something we've pushed them on since Saturday when they had that press conference.
Right.
They've really been silent since then, but that day, CMPD Chief Johnny Jennings, he emphasized the need for them to have probable cause for a search warrant, and he said something criminal has to happen. They have to suspect that before they can go in and execute a search warrant.
We'll keep the friends and family of Markayla in our thoughts and prayers. It's really sad that so much time lapsed between the initial report and warrants being obtained to enter the apartment. I can only assume there's some type of legality to police entering the apartment since it didn't belong to Markayla. It hasn't yet been said when the loss of life actually occurred, so it's possible that they might have still been alive when the maintenance worker entered the apartment. But why is it that the maintenance worker was able to enter the apartment but the police couldn't? Why couldn't maintenance unlock the apartment door to allow police access? I definitely got questions, but y'all let me know your thoughts. And if you haven't already and you enjoy the content, subscribe to the channel, because I got more videos coming, and I'll catch you in the next one.
Yikes, you'll be like, hey yo, what's the price? Yikes, when it come to me, I do nothing twice. Yikes, 223, got you taking